All right, good afternoon, cyber traders, and welcome on back here this Monday, December 20th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. I believe that we are good to go across both ends here. We got social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, and alongside them, all of us live in cyber group, Wendy, Grant, Patrick, Ari, Charles, who just killed it just a moment ago. I think it was on that SOPA stock, SOPA here. He picked up just about $2 per share. Great to see him. Great to see Patrick, Norman, James, Grant, and all of us otherwise. So I believe that we're just about good to go, folks, for this meeting. We do have class coming up later on today. The phase one stock course continuing along with lesson number 2. That'll be at 3:05 Eastern time. We're pretty much continuing our first lesson from this morning. Whereas this morning we were talking about tradable and not tradable stocks. This afternoon coming up, we'll just be talking about scanning the market, learning how to build the morning and afternoon watch lists that we do here. So without further ado, let's do exactly that, and I'll break down the X's and O's of how we build this list going into class this afternoon. But for right now, the SOPA stock just, hey, it's on the top of the gainers list anyway. It's on the screen, so no better place to start. And then no better place to find our first stock to put on our list. So SOPA easily will re-add to our list. It's not an easy trade. In particular, this stock we are going to go over in our Traders Talk workshop. That's our weekly Q&A workshop that we do every Tuesday live inside Cyber Group. So for all of us in Facebook Live or YouTube, you may have heard me made mention of this workshop over time. Every week we do it. So if you wanted to join us in our live trading room for tomorrow's workshop, again, we'll break down this trade in full from A to Z. Just make sure you go down to the link on the banner below to get yourself started on a small week trial. But with that in mind, this thing has been extremely impressive today, folks. I mean, not only for the fact that it's up 254% and counting, but I thought it would have made a much sharper pullback, at least from where it had ran up from. So at least by the time it was pulling back off the halts, this is even like 10:30ish. I thought it was going to pull back much lower towards like 5.90, $6 perhaps. Ended up holding really cleanly here, basically over 7. And then once it made a higher high, it actually ended up holding above one of the opening halt prints that I've recently talked about. So, just very impressive. A nice extended move up, for 130 plus million shares traded on the day. You would think that it would be more exhausted at this time than anything. But it still has some legs to it, as you could see. Beautiful trend off of basically 10, 950-ish. And for right now, with that in mind, we'll at least put this on our list. All right. Not everything is going to be as lively as the SOPA stock, or at least, stocks like SOPA that are already trading this much volume. Normally, they're going to be more exhausted than anything at this time of the day. Just look at the CANF stock as we continue going down the gainers list. Stock's trading 155 million shares, and it's not moving. Not moving at all. Grant says I could hear you, Josh, but not very well. So for all of us in Cyber Group, can you folks hear me loud and clear? I didn't have any issues going into this meeting. Good? All right. Grant, my friend, if you could just do me a quick favor, log out, log back in. That should take care of you. I hope it does. But nonetheless, we'll keep going here. So CANF, we're not as keen to put this on our afternoon list, just very tired at this point. GRTX, this thing looks pretty tired, but showing higher lows. And with that, we're hopeful to see this make a higher high later on today. More than anything, this stock also has a giant gap from the daily chart that it has to fill. So, that's where we ended up watching the stock back from last week. I think it was back on Tuesday of last week. Whatever news at the time came out, it led to a pre-market gap. But it's funny, there were like 2 gaps to work with that day: the pre-market gap up, and then the big gap down that it had tried to fill that day, but didn't. Well, today ended up making a big pop basically from those highs of last week and has continued pretty much moving up since. So, right now this stock's getting a little choppy, definitely trading a lot more volume compared to what it does on a day-to-day basis. We're not going to expect this stock to be trading 100 million shares every day going forward, folks. So, I'd say the stock is pretty exhausted too, but, hey, it's more of a level 2 stock, I'd say, in terms of volatility, how we look to categorize it. Really tight spread, good order book. I like that. With this with hopes of this trying to fill the gap further heading into the afternoon, I don't mind putting this on our main list. Now, alongside the SOPA stock, I mean, hey, SOPA was a morning stock that we had on our list. The AERC, though, this one ended up completely taking off just as we were beginning the phase one stock course earlier this morning. So as you could see, pretty much around 10:45, 11 o'clock, it started to continue to move up, broke new highs at the time, and just kept going. I mean, I thought this stock got halted at some point, and I think it did, but it didn't really show it on Bookmap that well. No, really, this stock ended up making such a clean move that you would have thought that at some point it would have gotten halted. I could have sworn for the life of me that this did get halted earlier today, but oh, actually, right here, this is where it got halted. I think looks like it at least. Nonetheless, ended up making a big move up. It's not going to continue to go up the whole day, folks, just like the SOPA stock, although that was pushing up when we turned over to it. Well, this one ended up topping off as well at some point, dropped off from right around 1450-ish, pulled all the way back down to 11. Right now it's trying to, inch back up. It's trying to, but if we're comparing one over the other, the SOPA is a lot closer to the highs by the time we're doing this meeting. So that's why I was more keen to put this on our list, at least if we're comparing both of them. The AERC right now, it's just too much of a gamble. Way too much of a gamble. The SOPA stock is no easy one either, but this is just a gamble, in my opinion. So I'm going to pass on it. ROIV, nice pop earlier this morning. I don't think we called that out. And we'll keep it going, folks. We'll see if there's any other stocks that look just as good, if not better. RGF joining us on YouTube today, asking about the HLTH stock, which is number 9 here. So let's look at that quick. Pushing up pretty nice, right up over 23%, $12 stock. The order book's going to be a little light, but that's something that you should anticipate for only trading about 750,000 shares on the day. But with the way this is moving up right now, yeah, definitely. Great call. I like this one. What's the news on it? I'm just very curious. It's not going to make my decision to buy or sell at a specific time or price. Unfortunately, no news on this stock. There's no headline from Benzinga Pro. The last headline was back from the 1st of December. So either way, we don't need a headline in order to trade this stock, but you want to make sure you could try and find a big volume level from where it had broken out from. You would assume that to be 12. And it does show that there was a lot of volume filled off of 12, at least over the last 5 to 6 minutes. Underneath 12, there isn't really a whole lot of, maybe up until 1166. So I definitely would say it needs to really begin to pop from this point soon. All right, so we'll keep it going. We'll keep it moving. Just kind of see and skim down the gainer side here. Any other familiar names that stand out to me, I'll quickly jump to which I don't really see many familiar names here. I just called out BJDX. That made a little bit of a pop before we started the meeting, and it's still hanging in there. So, this one right now doesn't look too bad. It does have a 13 or 14,000 share order up top at the high of the day. There's one also slightly above that at 325. But for right now, the way this is at least looking, I don't mind slipping it on our list. If we come back to this at the end and it completely goes the other way, then I'll take it off. But for right now, not bad. RJF following up on the HLTH stock says that they had appointed a new director. That's the news on it. Okay, cool. Appreciate the heads up there. Just checking out the gainer side. Otherwise, folks, rounding it out. Not too many familiar names here. Here's the SEAC I clicked on a moment ago. Not doing a whole lot. Markets are starting to drop off a little bit again here. Ended up bottoming out just a little bit over 451, the SPY, and then pushed up. But for right now, beginning its pullback again here. So there could be some interesting short opportunities if we continue to see direction on the way down heading into the afternoon. So we'll look at some sideless stocks at the end. I do want to talk briefly about Bitcoin. Not a whole lot happened since Friday, really. So we'll likely see Bitcoin move with the markets across this afternoon, tonight. SPRB not doing much. It's going to be the case across most of the losers side here, folks. I try and jump to the stocks that are down the most here, or stocks that are at least shortable. AMTX, shortable. Not a whole lot happening on that either. Familiar name, Billy. Wow, this stock's falling right back within our price range. Sheesh. This was like a $120 stock, $150 stock back in the beginning of this year. You take your eyes off a trade for quite a while, right? Oh my God. I mean, it's like the Peloton stock we were talking about from last week. That was like $120 or however much it was. That's going to be within our price range soon. All right. And then really outside of that, I'm sure there's plenty of stocks that are down more than, 5% that we're not looking at just yet. So folks, help me out a bit. Let me know. But there's nothing else that really stands out as a familiar name that's shortable or something that's, a dead cat bounce opportunity here. ADGI, I only anticipate to drop off more. All right, well, I'll tell you, so far, folks, we got 3 stocks on our main watch list. That is it. So again, let me know if there is anything else that you would want me to look at, check out quickly. I will show Benzinga Pro first, and then from there, I will briefly show Bitcoin. Not a whole lot to really talk about there, but here's the HLTH stock breaking a new high of the day right now. No other real familiar names that are at the highs right now or breaking new highs of the day. Not a surprise, but check out the losers list here. See if there's any stocks that are breaking new lows right now. Weight Watchers WW, maybe I'll look at that. I don't think that's going to have a good order book. No other real familiar names here so far that are breaking new lows at the moment. So, that's fine. Hey, I mean, if there's anything else that moves, we'll likely call it out around 3 o'clock, 3:15. Rich at least will. But yeah, that's all I got so far, folks. I'll talk briefly about Bitcoin, and then we'll finish it up. So Bitcoin ended up making a slight pullback, still just trading this channel of lower highs. It hasn't completely made a new drop just yet, but I feel like that will be coming pretty soon. I told you folks last week I really wanted to see this pullback closer to like 44, 44.5 here. It's taken its sweet time, so I haven't bought more since here. But otherwise, yeah, right now, the only new line that I put up, at least on the chart, is this white one just diagonally or a downtrend line off the highs, holding really well. I still obviously have my moving averages that I'll put up here, but I thought that was a little cluttery for the chart. What I wanted to show, at least, just a little interesting, and even if you don't follow crypto, if you only trade stocks, that's fine, because this relates to just trading in general, a pattern. RSIs, I don't really use that much, relative strength index, but over the weekend I was just playing around and just looking at the chart. Pretty interesting trend. And again, I'm on my 6-hour chart here. I mainly show the hourly, the 6-hour, and then the longer charts than that, like the daily, weekly, monthly. But on my 6-hour graph, look at this beautiful trend line on the RSI right off the highs. Little false breakout here once it made its new all-time high, and once it fell back under. But even over here, it's building higher lows here too. Nice, basically wedge pattern, pennant pattern filling in on the RSI. So, lots of indecision. I believe we'll kind of see what happens across the next 3 to 5 days. I'd imagine we'll likely see the structure break in either direction, and that's when we'll likely get our next big move on Bitcoin. All right, but that's all you got from me here today, folks. Again, and let me know if there's anything else that you would want me to look at or anything else that I didn't check out myself. Up, down, left, right, more than 5%. I'll tell you what, we might not need to check out any other stocks if we keep making money on SOPA here. Ari just got about 60 or so cents. He was in from 12.67. He got out at 13.24. That's a really good exit, Ari. And I mean, it's just easy to say that given how much this stock already went up. You don't want to be stuck on this trade when it's screaming on the way back down. We talked about it from earlier today, and it did break higher, but we know that when there is typically a down halt, that's game over. That's a wrap, right? So surprisingly enough, this kept going, but this is like the 1% chance where you see a stock continue to move up higher after it got halted going down. So what I'm referring to here is I feel like if this ends up beginning to slip even the slightest from this point, we could see a giant drop and a down halt, and that wouldn't be too pretty, folks. All right, I don't want to drive fear into all of us here, but for as much as the stock moved up, you know that it's not going to keep going up forever. I would say, if anything, maybe back from its IPO day, like date, 1550 is where it technically opened up at. So that could be a nice historical resistance to work off of should this keep going. Charles Z ended up killing it just now in our live trading room. He got just about $1.50 or 60 cents on his trade. The only trade of his day and the last one. Beautiful, Charles. Very nice job. I'll just pop that right up here for all of us on social media that don't have the chance to see the chat board there. That's our student Charles that just posted like $1.60 profit per share on this trade. One and done, Charles. Love it. All right, so folks, aside from all of that, I believe that we are just about good to go. Only 3 stocks to work with and on our watch list so far. But that's fine, though. We don't need to force or put any stocks out there if they're not going to give us a good move. So try and follow the markets right now heading into the afternoon. A lot of stocks will likely move with the market, of course. So you don't want to try and catch the falling knife, is what I'm referring to there. But aside from that, I know that Rich will look to rescan the market a lot more seriously around 3 o'clock, maybe 3:15 at that point, and we'll see if there's any other runners that we can catch heading into the afternoon. All right, so for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you're not ready to join our live trading room yet, like I mentioned earlier, then what you could do if you have any questions, feel more than free to send over an email right to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. Again, if you wanted to join us for our Traders Talk workshop, our special Q&A workshop we do every week, that being tomorrow, then just go right down to the link on the banner below to get yourself started. But for all of us there right now, Leda, Grant, Charles, once again, we got a couple Charleses there. Charles B, that's right, Charles B killed it on the SOPA stock, and then Charles Z ended up taking that. Oh man, the Charles are doing pretty well today. Ari did very nice on SOPA just now, so congratulations to everyone. And then aside from that, folks, I will look forward to speaking to most of us going into class at 3 p.m. Eastern. Take care.